Okay, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the show. Today's episode will be an intermediate's guide to surfing Indonesia. So I've been receiving a bunch of comments and questions about people coming to Indonesia for the first time and asking me where to go, how does it work, all these things. So I hope to cover all of that in this video. So if you are an intermediate surfer looking to come to Indonesia, you are in the right place. Let's get to it. Welcome to Pat Moriarty Surf. I'm here to spread some stoke and prove that with a little bit of training and a little bit of adventure, anyone can go from a kook to chasing some of the best waves on planet Earth. I'm here to provide you with educational, entertaining, and relatable surf content. Subscribe, follow my progress, and support the dream. Indo is home to some of the best waves in the world. Indonesia has two main seasons, the wet season and the dry season. And for the Sherlock Holmes of you out there, you guessed it, the wet season is when it rains more, and the dry season is when it doesn't rain as much. Therefore, everything is wet in the wet season and everything is dry in the dry season. Awesome. Now let's take it a step further here and understand how the wet versus dry season affects the swell. In the southern hemisphere, May to September, which is the dry season, are the winter months here in the southern hemisphere. And so that produces these powerful winter storms near Antarctica. These storms send pumping waves across the Indian Ocean, arriving first in West Australia, and then a day or two later, hitting the pristine coral reefs of Indonesia. All the stars need to align to produce some of the cleanest and most powerful waves on Earth that we see on videos and here in my backyard in Indonesia. All these stars need to align. We have first, there needs to be power. The power is generated from winter storms in the southern hemisphere. So once again, May to September is when these storms occur. Now, another thing that needs to happen is distance. So the distance traveled by the waves allows waves to clump together, thus increasing the swell period. The swell period is the amount of time that passes between each wave. The greater the period between waves, the bigger the set waves will be. You can see this in Indonesia as you can be out surfing, it'll look like an absolute lake, super glassy and flat, and then a monster set will come. That's because the waves are super spaced out, and when the waves become super spaced out, they actually clump together, so you get more double up and triple up waves that come in and can give you the wave of your life. Additionally, what you need is offshore winds to groom the waves so that they hold their shape. And the trade winds are seasonal as well. So remember the whole wet and dry season thing? Well, that affects the winds as well. So starting in May, the easterly trade winds begin. This means that many of the top spots in Indonesia are groomed to perfection. So let's back up a little bit though. What is an easterly trade wind? It must mean, oh, the wind's blowing to the east. Wrong. It means that the wind is coming from the east. So when you look at a map of Indonesia, all the places on the west side, all the surf spots on the west side of the islands will be met with offshore winds in the dry season. So if you look at the popular spots on the Bukit, on Bali, on Lombok, and Sumbawa, anything where the shore is on the east and the wind comes in from the east, that is going to be groomed to perfection. Now, in the wet season, the opposite is true. So the trade winds shift to a westerly wind. So that's why spots like Karamas on the east coast of Bali and certain spots in Lombok that face where the shore is on the west, those are groomed with the westerly wind. Easy enough to understand, right? Awesome. So this all sounds well and good, but I also want to remind everyone what an intermediate surfer is and the realities of surfing in Indonesia. So take a look at these videos of my surfing. I can pop up consistently, hold my own in sizable conditions, and most importantly, I have the experience to not get in the way of other surfers and pose a threat to the entire lineup. I don't say this to be a prick who thinks only experienced surfers deserve to catch good waves. After all, how else do you get experienced if not by putting yourself in bigger, scarier conditions? The reality of surfing in Indonesia is that this place is where you need to know what you're doing. The waves are powerful, the reefs are sharp, and none of the beaches have lifeguards or rescue teams, so you are responsible for yourself. I would encourage anyone progressing in surfing who's in that intermediate range to spend a full season or two surfing beach breaks and point breaks before booking that Indo trip. I know everyone wants to come here, but honestly, I think it's good for your surf progression, good for your safety, and for everyone else if you really hone in your skills and treat this as a responsibility and something that you should work for to book that Indonesian trip. Now, why am I making this point? Because 2 years ago, I came to Indo in the high season as an inexperienced surfer, and what happened? I got cut up on the reef a bunch, I got smoked by a ton of cleanup sets, got in people's way, and didn't catch a ton of waves. Looking back, I would say this was not the best way to improve my surf progression. Sure, I was able to get more comfortable in bigger waves. However, my technique and a lot of these bad habits I wasn't able to correct, essentially because I was scared out of my mind on these massive waves. Now, if you're an adrenaline junkie and you're a young guy in your early 20s, you're not gonna listen to me anyway, but this video is meant to talk to me 2 years ago and say, hey dude, take your time getting here, surf beach breaks, build up your skills, and then when you're truly ready, book that Indo trip. So with this in mind, I would recommend booking your first Indo trip in the shoulder season. So the shoulder seasons are March to April or September to October. There will be plenty of swell in the water to get you super stoked during these months, and the trade winds will begin to take effect, so a lot of spots will be working, and the crowds will be much more manageable. So this is sort of just a message to my previous self, and I hope I'm talking to you guys out there who are in my position, who love surfing, who really want to go all out with it. Come to Indo, no doubt, but do it in the shoulder season, and I think your surf progression will thank you for it, as well as the rest of the surfers in the lineup will thank you for it, and it will make this whole thing work a bit better. So there you go. That is the guide to surfing in Indonesia. I didn't want to give away specific spots here, as it doesn't take a genius to go find a map, see what's working on an easterly wind, on a westerly wind, and to be honest, the entire strip of islands have a ton of super awesome waves. I would recommend, if it's a spot you see over and over again on Instagram, on YouTube, on things, probably don't go to it. Search for something that you haven't heard of, more of a risk, and you'll definitely be rewarded for it. You'll avoid the crowds, and you will most likely still get super epic waves. Just here in Sumbawa, you drive 25 minutes each direction from the main spot. You can find uncrowded waves all to yourself. So that is my Indonesian intermediate surf guide. Hope this was helpful, and yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. And as always, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. It goes a long way in helping me out. Thanks, guys.